And we are live for episode number 2 of our members only live stream. This is the January edition. The first episode was in December. Hopefully this one is getting off to a better start than that one did. How's everybody doing tonight? How's your Friday afternoon, morning, evening, whatever it happens to be in your neck of the world? As always, this is pretty much just an open forum where we can chat. I've got some games I'm going to play if we don't get a whole lot of chatting going on. We're wrapping up the month in Atlas Earth. That means the new challenges start tomorrow. Plus we have a lot of stuff been going on this last week. A lot of it for me having to do with getting a lot of snow, but we can cover whatever you want to talk about. So just throw it in chat what you would like to talk about. That's what we're here for. Just to say, thanks for supporting the channel, and that's what this live stream is for. I want to start off with a special shout out to Gathering the Magic and Blind Mage from the North, who are they've been supporters of the channel since I started, which has been 12 months, and they got their bronze star. If you notice next to your name, there's like a little star inside of a circle, and those have different colors depending upon how long you've supported the channel, right? And when you make your way to a year, you get your bronze star, and after that it's 2 years and 5 years or something like that. But I wanted to start out by saying thanks to them for supporting and believing me in my coverage, and for the whole year. So thanks. Let's see here. Bolts is here. Welcome, Bolts. Thanks for dropping by. Says, hola, buenos tardes. I left my AI translator on. Evening, Bolts. Good evening to you as well. So I know enough Spanish to know that and to know what you're saying. Somebody was asking me in a reply in a video. Obviously, they were Spanish speaking, and they had asked a question. And when I have people that watch my videos from across the world now, and when they reply, I try to respond to them in whatever the native language is. Doesn't mean I know their language. With Spanish, I know just enough to get myself into trouble, right? But funny story, I can tell you here in a minute. But what I do is I use Google Translate and figure out what they're saying, and then construct my answer and backwards translate it to them. And they had asked me, hey, do you know Spanish? You should do videos in Spanish. And I'm like, well, no, not really. I know how to order a beer and ask where the bathroom is. So we were on a cruise when I was in the Navy, right? And we had a chief that was from Puerto Rico. So he was a native speaking Spanish, and we were taking a cruise around South America, right? And most of the countries in South America speak Spanish, with the exception of Brazil, who mostly speaks Portuguese, right? But either way, he was offering small lessons if you wanted to come down to the library on a nightly basis and learn a little bit of Spanish, right? This was before the advent of the internet and everything like that. So we were lucky to have a little bit of a speaking coach, because we were going to need it. So whenever I went in, I had a very short amount of time with him, but I was just like, tell me how to order some beers, right? And you're out to sea for months. All you want to know is how to order a beer when you go into port. So, dos grandes cervezas, por favor. It sounds very English of me, but that's it. That's my order. So, and it served me well too. So, plus I had a little book before the day of a cell phone. I had my little translator book where I could look up little bits and pieces, just enough to get my idea across. Bolts says, I noticed many people utilizing AI. It's a great tool. I agree. I use it. I like some stuff about it. I don't like other things about it. I use it. I've put it into my workflow in my video creation. I use it somewhat to flesh out my ideas for episodes, right? And and I use it for artwork. I like doing cartoons and stuff of myself, and because I figure people get tired of just seeing my same old face on thumbnails and stuff. So I like doing those cartoons and stuff like that. And on on my new channel where we're doing audiobooks, I'm using it to create pieces of artwork while people are listening to us and stuff. So I do use it. I've seen it heavily affect my workforce, though. The people in my business, and I've seen this in big companies all along, because the companies, business-wise, you do everything to just save as much money. You either make more money or save money. It both accomplishes the same thing. And the primary way, sorry, I'm itching my nose. My nose just needs scratched. What was I saying? Okay, so AI. What I'm seeing is companies are using AI to lay off a bunch of people. So they're using AI to implement to cover certain job positions that are relatively repetitive, things that are repeating. But there's people that do that for a living, right? And I've seen a lot of people laid off. The company goes into it and they feed you this line. And I'm not trying to make this like a complaint session. But I like certain things about AI. The thing I don't like about AI is the fact that it's replacing a lot of people, or what's the proper word? It's displacing people out of their jobs, right? I don't like that fact. And I heard, I've heard different comments on this. It's like all along we've continued. You have to continue to just evolve, and get to things just can't stand still, right? So I do understand that point, and I understand where it's like the cat's out of the bag now. So I can sit here as an old graybeard and just complain about it a little bit, though. So I do like certain things. I'm afraid of where we're going with it, though, because I'll just give you a little bit of context, and we'll jump back into chat. I'm just kind of, spitballing this, because this is something, I've said this many times. Okay, so I'm an IT guy, and I got into IT because I loved repairing computers and fixing problems for people, so that they had a problem with their computer. I loved fixing it for them, and making people happy and their computers fixed. And I love the mechanical side of it, not so much the software and stuff like that. I get into that, but I like repairing. But I got into that, and I'm just trying to think of where I'm going with this. I just lost my train of thought. We'll jump back into chat. Hey, Big T is hatchling. Welcome, Big T. Thanks for dropping by. And thanks for becoming a hatchling and supporting the channel. I get off on these tangents, then my brain's thinking about several different things, and then I forget where I'm going. It was something with AI and what the business is doing that way. So, hey, Proud Mama's here. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by, as always. Bolt says Ocho. It's funny from my past. I haven't drank this whole last year. I am a good beer lover, and I do love a good whiskey, but I have not drank the whole last year, just because I've tried to improve my health. I'm an old guy. I'm trying to last a few years longer. So I'm just like, maybe I should just cut down on drinking, because obviously drinking is drinking is good for your mind. People would argue for that. Everybody's different when they drink, right? I'll grant you that. But it's not good for your body, obviously. So that's my take on it. I'm not down on anybody. I love a good beer. In fact, I was a home brewer for 20 or 30 years. I love to brew my own beer and wines and meads and stuff like that. I love to do it. Just because I've been a chef. I was a pastry chef and a certified chef for more than a dozen years, right? And I love the cooking part of brewing. Um, Brewing is like part cooking and part chemistry, right? So I love the whole process except for the cleanup. But I've stopped doing that because I have no need for it if I'm not drinking it, right? So Big T says dinner time, but I just wanted to say hi. Well, thanks for dropping by. Bolts is asking what he's having for dinner. AI good for videos, not so good for workplace. Yeah, and you know what? I'm tired of the AI slop. I'm already tired of it. In fact, all this, I can't even go, there's a lot of this, and I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media besides YouTube. I do go on X just to kind of promote my videos, but I can't even hang out on X too long because I feel myself getting dumber, if you know what I mean, watching a lot of this AI slop. I'm kind of glad that YouTube is cutting down on the AI slop. I just can't go on a lot of these social medias because, it's getting to a point where I saw something on, I forget where I saw it. It was yesterday. That it's almost like 5 years ago or whatever. We were like, you see something cool that was created, and you see a picture of it online, whatever it was, like a photo or a painting or something like that, and you were like, cool, and you show somebody, your friend, hey, check this out. But now the first thing you see when you see a piece of art online, you're like, is that AI? And you're heavily scrutinizing it. And the part that scares me is, this is going back to what I was talking about before. The part that scares me is there's a lot of people that just don't know the difference between fake stuff made by AI and truth. And they're easily won over, like, hey, check this out, and we're not going to talk about politics or anything, but a lot of these fake videos are coming out showing incorrect stuff that never happened, right, about different people. So, and in my reference to my workplace, the idea is the AI has become so entrenched, even now. Like I said, I've said this a number of times. I'm the company I work for. We create software, and we have we have hundreds of developers and testers, QE people that work for us. They're all developers basically. And the young people that are coming out of school now are, instead of really learning how to code, they're learning how to use AI to code. So it's a lot more efficient. However, here's the thing. If you don't know how to code and you use AI and it pulls back this code for you, you're not going to know what's wrong with it before you put it out. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that scared me. And you can kind of extrapolate that, right? We're having, AI. It's easy to get on AI and use it to create art. I use it every day to make my thumbnails and different stuff like that for my videos. But what's that doing to the population of real artists, right? It's cutting down on how they can make a living, right? So Bolt says, just a quick glance at Splinterlands, that modern tank unit is your favorite. What are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? Let's go to Splinterlands. Which modern tank? Did I win or lose that? Hey, I won one. Which modern tank unit are you talking about? Oh, you're asking what modern tank unit is your favorite? You know what? I don't play a whole lot of modern. To tell you the truth, I don't. So I couldn't tell you. I have 2 accounts, and they both are played by Archmage, and they are played in Wild. And the one part of Splinterlands that gets me down, if I have to be honest, is the fact that cards, as you buy them and they get older, they lose value. Okay. Now I know you can buy cards and you can put them on land, and primarily what I'm playing now is my land game. But in most collectible, tradable card games, most cards, as they get older and more sparse and more rare, they gain value. In this game, it's the opposite. So I've found it very hard for myself to go out and, after I realized this, to put a lot of money into newer cards when I know that they're just going to depreciate, right? So I do it once in a while just to have something to do in game, right? But most of what I've bought over the last year and a half has been specifically for land. And, you know, those are usually in the Chaos Legion set, and they're cheaper. You know, I'm in 133. This is where most of my land is. Let's go to, if anybody else has something else they want to talk about, throw it in chat. This is open. This is not just gaming. We've got we've got our gaming live streams. Tomorrow we have Splinterlands, and on Sunday we have our Atlas Earth live stream. So this is pretty much an open floor. No politics, no religion, nothing that makes people angry. But anything else is fair game. But yeah, most of the cards I have bought, I'm trying to think of the last card that I bought that was for playing in Modern. You know what I was doing early on this year, or early on when the set came out, I was buying the gold foil pack, the arcane packs, and opening them, because my idea was to play the gold foil brawls for my my guild. And I can somewhat play them, the modern ones, right? I can somewhat play them if I'm playing lower level, like silver, bronze level. But I never leveled up my cards enough to be able to play silver or gold level. And what I found in my guild is I just don't get on. Most of the frays are pulled out from underneath me before I can even get to them, right? So that's what I'll say. So to answer you directly, I don't have any favorite tanks. If we went into wild. I mixed modern and wild. If we went into modern or wild, let's reset here. When I think tank, I use water a lot, right? From a wild perspective, because I am a heavy user of Kelly-Frendel. And in fact, I use it so much that I, in the past, have bought a max level gold foil. In fact, I've got two. One of them's working on land. So I use that a lot. And as far as tanks go, and like I said, it's not modern, but it's wild. Let's scroll through here. I love Isgald Vorst. I love Pellicor Bandit. I love Deep Lurker. Low mana matches, I slide in Alfredo once in a while. I like Relnor Cleaver and high mana matches. Love Demon Shark. It's an all-time favorite, I think. Bakjira is good in the right combination. Kulu Mastermind, once again, good in the right combination. But that's sort of my answer to that. That's not really an answer to the question. Bolt says, selecting my lineup becomes an overwhelming experience, but I cut it down to selecting 5 units from each element. Yeah, I find myself, and I think a lot of people's brains are this way, but at least my brain's this way. I find myself overwhelmed, like you said, with all the new cards, and that's kind of why I don't lean into modern. Besides the huge expense to play at a decent level, and the idea that I'm going to put all the money into the new cards and then they're going to go down in value. So they've somewhat solved that. I mean, the newer cards, there's less put out, so the value does stay higher than what Chaos Legion did. But it's just the whole idea. But back on that topic, it, the card game, the game itself in Splinterlands is going in the same direction that Magic the Gathering went. And the reason I stopped playing Magic the Gathering was it got too complicated. So I think I'm more familiar with staying in Wild because I basically use the same old cards, don't have to buy a bunch of new cards. I do buy cards when they pique my interest. I see a new one that has a power I like. Um, then I like that new. I like Charge. In fact, that's why I put it on my exemplar. I like Charge and I like Poison. I would love to have Double Strike too, but it's probably cost a lot to put it on here. But those are three of the powers that I really like. But like I said, most of my gameplay has been in land. And most of my money, and I put a good deal of money into the game. It's just in land right now. And I've stopped. Um, I realized that if you're not a rich person, you can't play everything in Splinterlands. You have to make a decision. So I made the decision to keep my two accounts going and playing. Archmage is playing the games for me, in playing in Wild, and then what I'm physically doing, other than playing my brawls. I do play two sets of brawls. So, any plans for this weekend? I guess Bolts, you're just the only one that wants to talk tonight. If this doesn't, if this is how popular this stream is going to be, I might not keep going with it. But what I did was I had to up here. I don't know where you're at, but I'm up near Philly, and we had a bunch of snow this like last weekend, and we might get a little bit more this coming weekend. So this last weekend, I had my snowblower out, and I got a big snowblower because I have a relatively longer driveway. It takes a few hours to clean the driveway up, and I had my snowblower out. It was working. There was a few little things wrong with it, but I had plowed for like 2 hours, and then the rear wheels, the drive, it pulls you along instead of having to push it, right? They stopped, right? So I wanted to see if I put it in the garage, and today, since I work from home on Mondays and Fridays, I went out there and I'm like, well, let me fire this up and see if it's working or if it needs to go down to the garage, the small engine mechanic. And luckily, even though my garage door was frozen shut, had to chip that open. It had like a 2-inch layer of ice right in front of it, but I got into it. It fired up fine and it was working fine. So I'm glad that something didn't, a belt or a torsion plate or whatever it is, friction plate in there did not break. So this weekend, just kind of getting some supplies in case we get hit by another winter storm. I need to go, get some ice melt for the sidewalks and get a few things in, but don't have anything other planned really. Today I finished up editing. I don't know if you all listen to audiobooks, but I finished up editing another episode of the new channel I'm running with my daughter. That is basically we're audio, voice acting, right? Or learning as we go, right? Having fun with it. My daughter is a big time reader, so I wanted to do something with her and have something that she could look back on and say, hey, my dad and I did this. So we did that, and we're putting out the first book we're doing is a mystery by Agatha Christie, and each episode has 2 chapters. The intro goes over what we did the last episode, just like a short 2-minute intro, and then we do 2 chapters, and then we do an outro, and we do several things we saw in the 2 chapters, things that stuck out to us, and I finished editing that today. So, and they go live every Sunday at noon Eastern time. So if you want to check that out, it's called Dragon's Den Classics. My little promo there. Casino? No. Not a casino goer here. I've been to the casino. I used to live over on the coast, down on the coast, and several casinos down there, but I've never been a big time gambler. Speaking of gambling, these new games they're advertising are basically, they call them some other thing. They call them prediction or something like that. It's another word for gambling, and I'm like, man, it is so easy now. You can sit on your couch at home in your pajamas and lose your whole paycheck. Back in my day, you used to have to get on your decent clothes and go drive all the way down to the casino, but now you can lose your whole paycheck sitting on your couch. But what gets me fired up is these new apps that are about quote unquote predicting, which is gambling. It's gambling. Tell me how this is not gambling, right? I'm not going to call out any names, but you know what? You've probably seen them advertised. Bold says, I'm at work. Got to go finish up the good old work day. Okay, well, thanks for dropping by and talking with me. Hope somebody else has something to say. Otherwise, we might cut it early. Let me pull this up. I don't know. We're getting ready to end the month in Atlas Earth. That'll mean a new set of challenges going live. Also, we had some things let me pull up my Discord. We had a few things happen in Splinterlands this week as well. Oh, we have an announcement. Escalation. Escalation is coming. Power is rising. Escalation is the new Splinterlands card set mini set that's getting ready to come out. So always things happening in game. And in Atlas Earth, we had the announcement of the racing game. The new version of the racing game is coming out. I don't know when it's live. If you've played it, let me know. I have not played it. As for me, I've just been trying to, this is a game that I've been just trying to, I prefer the puzzle games, so I'm trying to work on this one, as well as, let's see here, it's just a basic puzzle game. You got to use the various color buses to clear the bubbles at the top. And the bubbles are structured, so sometimes you run into issues and the colors you need are actually locked behind. And it's all structured. This game is structured just like a lot of them that are on the Atlas Arcade that are really there to make you watch ads. Let's be frank. Let's be real, right? Proud Mama says, I like vintage racing. It's my best mini game. Yeah, I probably do too. I didn't really, after I understood racing, I didn't really have a problem with it. And for some reason, I think that maybe, I think a lot of the races, if you know how to race it, it's pretty easy. It just comes down to lag on your phone or, hitting that last shift and letting the needle bounce a little bit and then shifting. And then you see your car jump ahead, So I don't know. Have you played the new version of it? I don't know when it's supposed to come out. I just saw that. Let me see. Annalise put up a message. Let's see here. Announcement. I know she put a message out, but I don't know if there's a timing on it. We'll talk about it on Sunday if there's an announcement. I'll have to ask her when it's going live. Yeah, I am on level 162. I got the 150 reward, and I'm working on level 200. It's slow going, but I find these more palatable than, say, those merge games, which I can't stand for the life of me. Puzzle games, at least I can wrap my head around, you know. And a lot of them are really just meant to force you through a series of ads, watching ads, right? So, but to me, they're okay. They do take a fair amount of time, though, to work through. Oh, these are down here at the bottom are facing down. So I can go ahead and do that. If anybody has anything to talk about, just shout it out in chat. That's what we're here for. Just kind of taking up some time here since nobody has anything to talk about. It's been a lot of changes in Atlas Earth so far this month. Not all necessarily positive, but we can talk about those on Sunday. Or Proud Mama says, I can't stand the merge games either. I also like the puzzle games and idle games as well. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the idle games. So, you know what I have a problem with is a lot of the games just take forever. In other words, I've been playing games, you know, this is like, I'm almost at my 2-year mark playing the game. And when I first started out, Atlas Arcade had just first started out, right? I need a black one here. They were, I don't want to say they were easy to complete, but they were within legitimate, like, oh, level 10, level 50, level 100. And now, most of them were unlimited, right? There was not like a time limit on them, you know? Now everything's time limited. You know, you've got like 30, 60 or 90 days to play, right? And then a lot of the upper end, you know, what you have to complete to get the final reward, it's just obnoxious, like level 1,000 or something like that. When you extrapolate how long it takes to go through a level, you're like, there's no way I can do that, you know? And I couldn't tell you the last time I actually completed a game, you know, or completed the full line of challenges, just because they just make them impossible. And the way I'm seeing it is, and that's fine. I mean, if that's the way they want to do, it's just, I try to take the games and get as much out of them as I can. And I'm trying not to fill my last slot here because I don't want to have to watch an ad. But most of these games I found is just, it's basically just to force you through watching a series of ads, you know, so. And yeah, I tried a few of those merge games, and to me, they got old really quickly. Having a little bit of Arnold Palmer's. This is not whiskey or anything. This is lemonade and iced tea. I had my wife get 2 jugs at the supermarket, half gallons, 1/2 gallon of unsweet tea and 1/2 gallon of lemonade. That is, I use stevia, artificial sweetener, and then I mix them together, and I have a gallon worth of Arnold Palmer. I think they do that so you'll spend money in the game to accelerate your progress. Yeah, and there's something to be said about that because obviously they're in it to make money, right? I don't know. I just the way that back, we have this transition of how games were. Like when cell phones first caught on, the games were just like you'd buy a game for your computer or something. You paid 99 cents or a dollar, $5, whatever for the app, and then it was yours. You could play it, beat the game, play it for as long as you wanted. If they added new levels, that's fine. Now it's very much like the live service games, which are free to play, quote unquote, right? But there's lots of costs involved if you want to go ahead and put through. And that brings up the second point that it's I don't know personally, but I've heard Annalise talk about it and some other people talk about it. The fact that you are treated differently within the Atlas Arcade if you actually spend money in the apps. In other words, spending money in the apps gives you deals and goals, and the amount of AB you get back is more. So I don't. I tested it out last week. I usually don't spend any money in the Atlas Arcade, but I did spend $1 to see if I could see any verifiable difference. But I haven't yet. Maybe one time I'll spend like $5 or $10 just to see if I can see any difference. But what I've found is over the last year, the amount I'm making off of arcade games is very little. And usually I'm just playing them to stage them up for the challenges, right? So once in a while I come across a game I really like and it's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and finish this off, see if I can finish this off. No, I need a dark green. Where's dark green? I'm out of space. Okay, I have to take this off screen to be able to run the ad. Another thing that's changed with AI and being on YouTube is you got to be really careful the video you put on a screen and also the audio, because it used to be where there had to be actual people that would complain about your video contains our music or something like that. Now AI just goes through everything and that will pick everything up. So just to reduce the chances of me getting in trouble, I just don't put any ads, or I try not to put any audio out. Although a nice audio would be nice, but some of these games, what happens is I did a live stream of me playing another game, and it was just like a basic online game. But it had a cool soundtrack. The problem is that soundtrack had music to it that was, it was not royalty free, right? And I thought, well, it's in the game, and I'm live streaming the game. It should be fine. Wrong. They came back and they hit me for like 3 different songs. I'm like, okay, take them out, So that was how I dealt with that. Either way, I don't put ads on here. I need a green. The green is going to be one of these rainbows. Nope. Oh man, they're clogged up right behind here. There's a dark green. Well, frankly, I was expecting more people to come on and have more conversation going on. I do appreciate everybody that has shown up, and this is really about saying thanks for helping supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Over the last, especially since the fall, since the major AI changes in YouTube, they've for the ads that you make a lot less as a YouTuber. So the support is greatly appreciated. So I need a gray. There's a gray. I'm glad these buses are facing down. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just trying to plug through a few levels for my Atlas Arcade. I've got one game staged with two 2 awards ready to go because they just never awarded me. And so whenever the new month flips over, I'll be able to use that. Thank you, sir. Gracias. I have a few other games, kind of like that I'm going to be doing videos on, and I'm just kind of branching out, doing it's not necessarily play to earn or anything, but just games. I bought a PlayStation 3 this last week or the week before, because the thing is that games are so expensive now, you know, and I never really got into PlayStation. I was an Xbox guy at that point in time. And, you know, I've been mostly a PC player over the years. But I wanted to experience some of those titles that I had missed out on in the circa 2010 timeframe, somewhere around then, you know. Back then, our daughter was very young, and I was working 2 jobs, and my wife was working full time as well, and just not a whole lot of time for gaming, right? And the gaming I did do was like EverQuest and World of Warcraft, that kind of thing. But now, I mean, you can, why get a brand new console if you want a console game and pay $500 to $800 for it, then pay $60, $80, $100 for each new game, when you can buy a PlayStation 3 that, yeah, it's 20 years old now. You pick one that's working well, and you can get games for $5 to $10 a piece. And these games still stand up today, you know? So either way, that's kind of what I'm working on. I've got a few other games too that I'm going to do reviews on. Proud Mama says, we appreciate your honest feedback and keeping us updated on announcements. Yeah, I try to keep a watch. Annalise makes announcements whenever she can. The announcements have really slowed down over the last year because, you know, she's being very careful on what she releases, and she works for the company. So you got, whenever you hear her chatting and giving answers and everything, she's very good at that. But everything that she says is going to be from the company's point of view, right? So, you know, more power to her. I've been in the public relations seat before myself, so I can empathize. Bolt says, KGM's favorite console. Oh, really? I know he was doing some coverage of some other various games. But maybe you... I just wanted to come over to the shelf and show you. This is what I got. Well, it would help if they weren't upside down. This is what I got to start off with, and the light's reflecting bad. Maybe you can see that. You know, and most of these games, there's a few in here that the games were like $15, but most of them were $5 or $10 games, right? And all I did was I went on Google and found out that I Googled the top 20 best PS3 games. And that's just what I'm starting with. Like, a lot of these are good storyline type RPGs that you can get into. Anyway, some of you might not be even interested, but that's what I've been up to. Bolt says, I used to play a lot of Call of Duty games. You know where I went down the rabbit hole? I started watching these YouTube videos. There are people that run these classic retro video game stores. And people trade in their old consoles and games and everything. They clean them up, they fix them if there's something wrong with them, and they resell them. I love that because that's the ultimate recycling. You know, we need to recycle everything that we possibly can and not throw it into the dump, right? But from a gamer standpoint, that's the best thing to do. But anyway, I went down this rabbit hole of watching these people. So I'm like, well, I got to order something from them. So I started thinking about it, and I was around. I've been lucky, and I consider myself blessed to be around during my lifetime. Go through basically since the origin of retro consoles, way back. I can remember my aunt having a Pong console circa 76, 77. The first console I got was Atari 2600. Had to ask, I had to beg my mom for a whole year to get it for Christmas. We really didn't even get the Atari version. We got the Sears version, which was made by Sears and Roebuck. But it played the same games, right? And all the way through. And I thought to myself, I don't really want to play the old stuff, because that old stuff, it doesn't have HDMI. It has the old composite video game cables and everything. And you have to fool around with that and upscale it to the new TVs and stuff. And I don't have an old CRT. I still do have the Sony TV that we had circa 2010, and it does have the composite out cables. It's just I never really got into Nintendo. I love the Xbox. I love and there's a lot of the PlayStation games that that I wanted to play that at that time I didn't play, because you pick one and that's the games you bought, right? But either way, I stuck on the PlayStation 3 because that's the first one that had the high definition output. HDMI out, which means you don't have to fool around. I can connect it to the TV, get high definition. And my goal here is you have to do a little bit of a setup to be able to connect it to your computer monitor to record it for videos, but I'm going to do that as well. So, but it has great games, right? This massive library. And I went with the PlayStation 3 because the slim model, because it runs very much cooler than the old fat models, right, that are prone to failure. And you can play PlayStation 1 games on the PlayStation 3, right? Now, the fat model, you can also play PlayStation 2, but the prices of those have went sky high. So if you wanted to actually play PlayStation 2 games, it's cheaper just to buy a PlayStation 2, right? And PlayStation 2, if you guys didn't know, has the biggest library of video games for any console ever. So Bolt says played a lot of Call of Duty. I played the original Call of Duties on PC, and I like them. And I'm better at the shooting games on PC, I think. But without getting too far into it, when they came out of the World War II and Vietnam era, I went to present day. When they crossed over into my era, which was the first Desert Storm, I bailed on them because it hit too close to home. I was in the Navy, right? But I did a lot of things that I interfaced, and I supported things that were going on during Desert Storm, and I had friends that didn't come back, and so I don't like playing the new first-person shooters that are based like in the Middle East and stuff like that. It just hits too close to home, and it's not for me. So most of what I play these days are, besides my Atlas Earth and Splinterlands and various other play-to-earn games on the Hive blockchain, I love things like ARPGs, like Diablo and those kind of things. And I love a good MMORPG, like EverQuest or something like that. The new stuff. It's just I've gotten... there's not enough time to do it all, right? So Bolt says, one thing I do love doing is thrift treasure hunting, games, books, paperweight, random, cool. Yeah, and that's the thing that where my gaming thing kind of started off with, because this thing has existed for the last 5 to 10 years thrift hunting was a thing for classic video games, right? And you used to be able to do it, and sometimes you can in certain places now. But what's happened is we have this a lot of people don't just go to thrift stores because they need some very economical items to live with. People go there to resellers. Just look on YouTube. People go into Goodwill and just buy whatever they think they can resell on eBay, turn around and resell it. And I'm not strictly against that. It's just that over the last 5 years or so, all the quote unquote deals on video game systems, classic videos and video games and stuff that would end up in a store like that are just dried up. They're no longer there. So. Proud Mama says, I enjoy Tomb Raider games and Assassin's Creed games. Those are two games that I feel like I would probably enjoy, but I've never played. I know they're both massively popular lines of games. It's just I've never played them. And I know this is a weird game to be playing on live stream, but I just thought to myself, I need to clear a few levels. And I'm going to end up having to watch another ad. Nope. I actually got that out of there. Okay, I can finish this off without watching another ad. Well, that's Bubble Bus. Choose my way to play. Continue to play ads or pay $7.99. Whoops. Just in case an ad shows. Well, we're coming down. I'm just checking my Atlas account. We're coming down to the end of another super rent boost. Doing pretty good. Proud Mama says I need to clear levels and set myself up for next month as well. Yeah, a couple days. I just hope that. I hope that. Were you able to complete the challenges this month? I hope they don't continue to make. I hope next month isn't worse than this month. In other words, harder. I completed it on 22nd, I believe. Which and I'm not one of those people that sit there. Early on, whenever they had started the challenges, I was one of those people that I'm done in like 3 days or whatever it was, right? But I saw that it doesn't matter, and they've continually they made them easy at the beginning of 2025. They made them a lot easier, and then they kind of started reeling them back. And I think it was all based upon the fact that the whole last half of the month, there was probably very few people playing the mini games, because a lot of people just play the mini games to get through the challenges, like me, right? And then the whole last half, the pots were very small because the pots are very dependent upon how many people are actually playing the mini games, right? So they wanted more people to interface with throughout the month more. So they took the challenges and just broke the challenges down into multiple challenges. So like instead of having one challenge, play 5 games or play 10 games and get 50 points, that's broken down into 2 challenges, and you still have to play 10 games and 15 games, but you're still getting 25 points each. And so you're ultimately still getting that 50 points, but it's taking you more to get it and a longer amount of time. So, and I agree, it's called a challenge ladder. It should be challenging, right? But at the same time, you see what they're doing, and it's just all about business. But at the same time, I'm figuring, well, and I've had people requesting that I take another look at the value proposition for the challenge ladder, because it's changed a little bit. I still think it's worth it, but it's getting borderline to that. Well, it just depends upon whether it's worth the money, your money, whether you can complete that, right? Whether it's too much of a headache for you. Proud Mama says, I completed it around the 20th, so right around where I did. I hope they don't make it any harder. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that I know what they're trying to do, and because I kind of discussed it a little bit with Annalise, but I think that if you take it too far, then you can shoot yourself in the foot. And by what I mean is, if they make it too hard and try to emphasize, keep people playing in the challenges for like over 20 days or whatever, then people will stop subscribing to the challenge ladder, because that value proposition changes. If you go from, hey, yeah, I can complete this in a pretty decent amount of time, it's really worth it to me to pay that extra $10 a month, to, oh, it's pretty hard to complete now. I don't know, I usually complete it, but now I'm stressing about it and it's a lot more work. Is it even worth it, right? So, you could, on one side of the column, you can say the math, and you can say, yeah, it's still a good value for what you put into it, right? The other side of the column is how much you're stressing out about being able to complete it. And then if you can't complete it, at a certain point, it might not be worth it. I've done the math before, and if you can complete 75% of the challenge ladder, you've got your $10 and a lot more back in Atlas bucks. Obviously, people want that LPU at the end, though, right? So I'm glad they changed the minigame challenges to play. The minigames, oh, yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you there. Because considering what they've done with the games now and extended, basically put more, you need to play more mini games. If those were actually having to win, oh God, I would definitely be doing a video about it. And my opinions on playing the ladder would definitely change, because frankly, those mini games, I'm not into them, right? I've said it before. I'm hopefully, I saw the little advertisement that Atlas Earth put out on their new racing game. Looks kind of fun, so I'll have to just play it and see how it goes. It's just this first generation of mini games that we've been playing for several years, just largely are not fun to me. And I know there are people that excel at that, and I know there are people that have 2 or 3 hours to sit there and do that. I just don't, right? So well, I guess we can wrap up. Thanks a lot, Bolts and Proud Mama and everybody else who stopped by just to listen in. Thanks a lot for supporting the channel, as always, and also coming to the streams and talking and everything. Bolts, putting on a stream and not having any, it makes it easier when people want to talk, right, and have things to talk about. That's what we're here for. And I don't know. I don't know. Should we do this, keep doing this in February? Maybe I'll put a poll out. Maybe I'll put a poll out for all the members and everything. So I was just trying to give more value to people that are members, to, get a few more subscribers or, members, right? So either way, I hope everybody is staying warm in this cold weather, or at least it's cold around here. So Saturday, tomorrow, we have our Splinterlands live stream at 11:30. And Sunday, we have Atlas Earth at noon. Until then, thanks for dropping by. As always, I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And I'll see you in whatever game we play together. Be good.